Introduce our chief guest this morning, Dr. Manindra Agrawal. We will take his, a little later, a minute later, Savita. Why it is difficult? Because the subject on which he has worked, the Padma Shri award, the subject on which he has won, despite my reading a lot of Google, asking people, to be honest, I do not understand it completely, but I'll try to tell you something about it in a layman's language, and if I falter, please excuse me for that. So, Dr. Agrawal comes from an academic environmental from Prayagraj, as both his parents were teacher in degree college. His father was particularly a mathematics teacher. Graduated in computer science in the year 1986 from IIT Kanpur. Completed his PhD in computer science in 1991 under Professor Somnath. He loves IIT so much so that he has remained there since 1982, has rejected several offers from all across the globe. Academic is the first and the last love. Mrs. Rachna is there, she is there in between, so that I am including. And the offers, monetary terms, means nothing to him. He needs an environment to carry out research. And he is a professor in Department of Computer Science, Engineering at IIT Kanpur. He is also the project director of cybersecurity technology innovation. This is the space where he has really worked hard. These are the awards. I know about the first award, rest all. When I got the biodata, then I came to know that these are the global awards. Not much knowledge to me. A round of applause for the gentleman for this. He was honored with the Padma Shri Award in 2013 by Government of India. Now, here it is one which I am trying to explain to my paper technology brothers what exactly he has done. You know, we talk about algorithm. Many of you know, but what I understand is a process. You go, try to make an order on Amazon. It shows you a process. Choose the product, what you want, number of pieces, choose the price, where is the delivery, where is the destination, mode of payment, and that is the process. It's a small. So any task that you do and computer captures it, a program is written, that's called algorithm. Now you visit a YouTube page, you visit a Facebook, you see couple of things same, it keeps showing you the same thing. There is an intelligence or an algorithm working, knowing your taste. Now, what happens? These algorithms, they are susceptible to making mistakes. Sometime error is there. So can you use it foolproofly? Now, when you go to make a payment, when you want to disclose some identity of yours which is a secret to you in a transaction, there where the role of Dr. Manindra came. He discovered a primary number. Primary number is one which cannot be divided. 3, 5, 7, 13. But we are talking of 1 or 2 digits. And when you talk of a large number of digits which cannot be divisible, that's a research work he did. And what I understand, if you type your name Ramesh 19490 as a password, the R gets encrypted into a large, unique primary number, so unique number which gets communicated. So if somebody wants to hack your password, he cannot do it. And that's where the cybersecurity comes. I don't know if I have explained it correctly. Now, here, as I said, whatever was tested earlier, it had a probability. His method made it foolproof. So, in 2002, Professor Agrawal and his students came up with a solution that showed the approach to be correct for all numbers, thus giving an efficient and error-free algorithm for primary testing. It never makes an error, unlike other algorithms. Imagine 300 plus digits. Our password is 810, but 300 plus digit never makes a mistake. He has also designed algorithms from Indian Navy, Indian Air Force, and these are being used by armed forces to secure their communication. Imagine you have a communication and your enemy decodes it, where you stand. So I'll say nation security. Dr. Agrawal, you have done a great job. Please. And 2013, he was awarded. His next came during pandemic. What happened? People, first wave went, second wave came. He developed a model by name Sutra. All the people who are suspected for the COVID, U, undetected, many cases happen. T, tested, positive, and R, recovered, and A is for approach. So Sutra model that he developed, it gave, here are some of the findings on the Sutra model. And that model was developed just before the wave 2. The model predicted on 24th April that new peak by 4th to 8th May will come with 3.9 lakh cases, and actual peak was on 8th of May with 3.92 lakh cases. Now, what it helped? How it helped? Government of India and several states of COVID to plan strategies during the second and third wave. What to do? See, these are sitting at home, we don't know. We were only knowing the testing and the medicine, what we are doing. So Sutra model was applied to 36 countries for prediction. It also was used by the Reserve Bank of India. Now, state of economy was in bad shape. What would be the shape of economy in coming 1 year, 2 year, 3 year? And what action Government of India or Reserve Bank needs to say? That was by Dr. Agrawal. With these words, welcome you for your address.
All the dignitaries on the dais, the IPTA family present here, ladies and gentlemen, it's my great privilege to be here in front of you and witness such wonderful event with stalwarts getting acknowledged for their contributions to the pulp and paper industry. Just the previous speaker has laid a very good pathway for what I am going to say. Ashwin Ladda ji said that trust the technology. The digital technology is the future. And while what he said was absolutely spot on, but any new technology that you use comes with its own drawbacks or weak spots. And that's what I'm going to talk about today, the weak spot of digital technology, which is comes under the domain of cybersecurity. How do you secure your systems? And the question that I would like to pose or address is, why should people sitting here care about cybersecurity? It's not. I just run through some numbers which have been talked about in multiple circles. The biggest threat in the digital domain comes from cyber crimes. It's estimated that the cyber crime will result in upward of $8 trillion loss to the world economy by 2030. And of that, just the ransomware, which is something many of you would be familiar with, will have a component of upward of $250 million. India is not safe from these attacks. We keep hearing news about cyber attacks in the news. Just the last year, if you look at the data, India had more than 400 million malware detections. And this is not counting the malware that have not been detected. And this kind of peaked at the G20 period when a lot of attackers across the world got very interested in India. Multiple sectors have been affected by this, education sector being one, then denial of service attacks, which are pretty standard, healthcare. As the data gets digitized there are more and more attacks which are happening. Data leaks of large kind. I mean, there was a news that the COVID database has pretty much been leaked and can be found on the dark web. And with the associated details, there is a very recent news from China that the Chinese hackers have access to the entire EPFO database. And then, of course, once they have access to such data, they can use it maliciously. So, while modus operandi of attackers is evolved over time, what I would like to focus on is, as in leaders of an industry, what should all of you be focusing on? And that comes in the form of best practices. Most important is the governance. That is, to recognize that cyber threats pose an imminent danger to an organization. And that recognition has to come at the board level, that it must be taken seriously. Steps should be initiated to ensure the security of your entire system, which results in a cybersecurity policy for the organization. It has to be meticulously drafted in such a way that while any such policy which improves security will necessarily put certain restrictions on people on the use of systems. But that should be as less intrusive as possible so that there is better adaptability. And then comes multiple steps like risk assessment, management. But one of the most important one is to have a cyber asset inventory. In an organization, all the digital assets should be meticulously listed and tracked. Once you have this list, then whenever one of the assets has certain vulnerability, it becomes easier to handle it. One very critical aspect, once you have the list of assets which causes vulnerability, is the lack of upgrade of the software that is running on those systems. The operating system, for example, on a computer, if you don't patch it, there are constant security patches. Many a times, if you look at your personal life, we tend to be lazy about it, that we'll do the patch later. There is no need to do it up now. But from an organization perspective, patch management becomes extremely important because if you don't apply a patch, it creates a potential vulnerability which can be exploited by the attackers. And therefore, upgrading the patches in an organizational setting is very important, which brings me to an associated point that the software, the critical software that is running in your systems, whether it is operating system or documentation, office software, etc., must be licensed copies. If they are not licensed copies, there is no patch management. The company will not release the patches, and vulnerabilities in your system will keep on increasing with time. And the vulnerability management, as I mentioned, becomes a very critical thing. If it is a large organization, then managing every computer or system separately and testing it becomes a huge task. So for large organizations, they would tend to require a security operations center, which is a setup which can automatically monitor all the systems connected with your organization and detect if there is any vulnerabilities in it. Then, final point is the training. You can have the best policies, you can have the best system in place, but if the people using the systems are not aware of the dangers that can exist, then none of the other approaches will work. This can be as simple as not clicking on an email which promises you a lot of money or something else. That's very simple, but there are much more clever techniques being adopted by hackers these days. They sometimes get access to the contact list of a person and pretend to be one of the known person to the caller, that is, pretends to be a person known to the individual, and then ask for certain things which, if you are not careful, you tend to follow, and then that leads to certain losses. Finally, while the digital technology has changed our life, but sometimes the cyber attacks can make things very tough and lead to significant losses. So one has to be particularly careful about them. While it is not trivial to manage the cyber security, but if one follows takes it seriously, follows basic steps, then most of the threats can be mitigated. So with these words, I'll end my speech and thank you all for listening to it, and thank you for the organizers for inviting me. Thank you.